Hello, my name is Celine, and I'm the founder of Love Yourself Project. And I would like to welcome you to the first episode of our new series, Pyjamas and Pearls, where we will bring together the magic of unfiltered conversations and pearls of wisdom. For the first episode, we will be discussing dating in the 21st century, especially for women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And today's pajama crew features May Flynn, a holistic confidence coach originally from Wales, now living in Malaga, Spain. Julie Malure, a women's health practitioner originally from France and now living in Malaga, Spain. Edita Nowinska, a writing coach originally from Poland and now living in Andalusia. And Nav Sowan Paul, a women's mindset coach from Windsor, England. So welcome, ladies. I'm excited to have you here today.
Hello.
We're excited for the first pajama party, Pearls.
Yay.
Yes, and thank you for the invitation.
And I've got my pearls. And we also have our special guest, Miss Nicole Brooke, who is originally from Las Vegas, USA, and she now lives in Barcelona. And she's single too, so she can certainly join the party.
I literally just joined you guys from a fabulous siesta, so I'm definitely in my pajamas right now.
It feels a bit early, doesn't it, to be in pajamas, but
I'll take it.
nice to be casual. I don't actually have siestas. Who else has siestas here in the afternoon?
I do. I love that.
Yeah.
We need to bring that over to England. Much needed.
Perform for yourself.
I guess because I sleep so early. So if I had a siesta, I go to sleep around 8 o'clock, 8 or 9 o'clock. I go to bed. I actually go and read at that time or listen to podcasts, and then I sleep about 9 and I wake up about 4 or 5 a.m. So that's my work pattern.
Oh my
So
God, May, if
good.
you're gonna have to be dating, you better find some men who want to go see the sunrise with you or something like that, because dinner, everyone's gonna be getting ready while you're sleeping.
It's not going to be a Spanish guy for sure, is it? With my sleep pattern. Yeah, but what a great topic though. Dating's a nice topic to talk about, isn't it? Because I'm sure we've got lots of great experiences, maybe the ups and downs, highs and lows of dating. Yeah.
Especially over the last couple of years as well, I'd say, just like with lockdown and how much that has had such a big shift in the way that we're doing it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to like kick off our talk, I just wanted to think about, what does connection mean to you all? If you think of the word connection.
For me, the connection is actually something that I've experienced when I became single again, because then I realized the most important connection in my life is the connection with me.
Yeah.
Connection with my own needs, with what I want, like how is going to my life look like. And I really like, that was the moment that I could feel before I was struggling in a relationship, because I'm a person that is dedicated a lot, and I'm also like giving a lot in a relationship. I invest a lot in a relationship, and I have to take this resource from something, and I take it from myself, my own well-being, my work, or something else. And then when I became single, I realized this is a great time to connect, like again, to myself. I don't need anybody else to be in this perfect relationship, in this perfect connection. And I actually, the first period of time after breakup, because it wasn't my decision, actually, this breakup. So I decided to dedicate this time to myself, to the connection with me, with kind of like new me experienced after this period of years of being in a relationship when I didn't have time to connect with myself, to discover myself. So connection for me was discovery, and I loved it.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because when we get in a relationship, it's very easy to lose ourselves as well and forget to focus on ourselves, I think. you know, of like I'm very much with that, with what you said, you know, with the connection with yourself, because you know, sometimes I used to be, oh, when I'm in a relationship, I'll be happy. When I find this perfect guy, I'll be happy. And this was always my thing about, you know, when this happens, when that happens, this perfect guy will come along. And then I realized, no, let's go back to me first and then do it the other way around.
I must say it also, like my experience is that whenever in a relationship, I spend more time connecting to myself or like dedicating to myself, I'm kind of like punished for that. The partners don't like it because they feel me being stronger and more independent, and they have the feeling that I'm getting like walking away somehow. They can't really like, they couldn't value maybe that those were wrong partners. But that was my experience also, like this is the area I should stay away, like do what I need to do, be as much connected as I need to function rather than be happy. But then whenever I was trying to do it more, it was a crisis, you know. So okay, being single for me means real like happiness to get connected with myself. I love it.
For me, connection is stripping away just like all the external factors, if that makes sense, because I'll definitely speak from my experience. You know, we grow up and how we're talking about, we have an ideology, you know, of what we think on like our first perception. So I think for me, it's actually just maturing in that aspect, to be honest with you. And it's just stripping away all of that, and it's connecting straight to just who that person is, like at their core, like at their essence. And I think that's a really big thing for me, is actually connecting to their values. Like that's a huge part. So that's kind of like how I would define my definition of connection.
I feel like the real work when you're in a relationship is actually this, is to maintain the connection with yourself while being with somebody and not lose yourself. And this is a long-term work. I also thought that, you know, when you find the right person, you will never disconnect from yourself, but that's not true. And so it's a long-term work. But for me, when I hear connection, actually, I think more about not to myself, but to everything around me and everyone around me. It's what I'm looking for in everything. Actually, I'm kind of like sensitive, and I can't do something if I'm not connected to it. So I can have coffee with people, but if at the first time or the second time I don't feel this connection, I can't really explain how the connection. I think it's a felt sense, you know. If I don't feel this connection, I won't, you know, this person will not be part of my life. And I'm looking for this connection also in my work and in my hobbies. I really need to connect with something to do it and to enjoy it. Otherwise, I just feel that there is, you know, it's empty. It doesn't make sense for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, you can meet people for a coffee and feel a connection, but I've been on Tinder for about 3 years, and I think you can feel a connection even with somebody online, even when you message, you know, somebody messages, okay, you might like each other, they might like you and you like back. And then as soon as you message somebody, you can feel that connection straight away.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting? Even though it's online, we can feel that.
Yeah, someone's kind of like energy can kind of come through in the written word, like, and they could be so far away from me as well. So that is very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's just trusting our intuition a bit, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
When you first said connection, I actually visualized it like how there can be so many different layers, because there's a connection between you and everything in this world, between all of us, between all the men, all the women, all the plants, all the trees, all the animals. Like there's a connection with everything. It's how surface level or how deep that connection gets with a certain other being when it comes to relationships. And I think you can connect over a lot of different things. and I think the connection, like when you're saying it's not the connection that like you're kind of looking for, you can connect with people over soccer, over your taste in coffee, over your taste in whatever. But I guess it's finding the kind of connection that you value. And I think you can only gain that with experience in dating and finding out what the kind of connection you're looking for in dating. So I think that definitely comes with time and patience, but we're all connected to everything, with ourselves, with the world. So yeah, connection can go way beyond just dating for me.
But Nicole, you said something interesting. You said being experienced in dating. And then I thought like, am I actually experienced enough? How do you feel about your experience in dating? Like, are you experienced enough to do your dating, continue dating, girls?
Yes, I am about to turn 31, and like, if you really want to get, like Celine talked about, like the uncensored kind of conversations, like I've had sexual encounters with like a lot of men in my time. I sound like I'm so old, but like I've been dating ever since I was in like first grade. I kid you not. Like I had my first official boyfriend in third grade, and I got cheated on by some other girl. Like I literally had like dating experiences ever since I was a little girl. So like I've had a lot of experience dating, and like I've had more experience dating lots of different men instead of like a few one over a long period of time. So like I think every new partner who I date gets better and better as I start to build more boundaries, as I start to make my list a little bit more clear on like who I want. So like the past partner that I just dated for like 3 months, I learned that he must love my birds because they're part of my life and they're never going to go away. And what was I literally yeah.
The birds are
They
beautiful.
must love my birds. Oh, and I must fall in love with the way that he argues, because this past partner I had, like I really, really care for him. I love who he is, but I hate the way he argues. He argues like a little child. So I think with each experience, you add on the things that you want and do not want from a certain partner. And yeah, Rita, like your experience like is your own experience. And yeah, I feel like the more experience you have, like the more you know what you want, for sure.
Yeah, it's like trial and error, isn't it?
Oh yeah. So many errors. That's okay. It's part of learning.
You guys are like super interesting, but I have a really silly question just because I've got some other girlfriends who've been asking me about this and I have zero knowledge. Now, have any of you dated another girl? Oh, yay, Adita. So I don't know how old you are, and we don't really need to know. But what is that like? Is it like the same as dating a guy? Do you do the same giddiness, you know, in that first meeting, or how does that work?
Right. So I'm 44, and I've had also like many periods of life when I was dating. The last one was 8 years. So it was 8 years, then 10 years of relationship, and now I'm back on the market dating again. Well, for me, it is like this. When I meet I am attracted by a human being. So I actually don't care if it's a man or woman. I really don't feel a difference when it comes to the attraction itself. It's just, of course, a question whether this person, like, okay, in this case, a woman, whether she feels the same, like the same attraction. It works the same way with men as well. And then, well, yeah, it's kind of the same, like this first, let's say, moment, you know, it's like there's not so much difference. It works kind of the same. You really like you want to be intrigued, you want this other person to be curious about you, you want to get to know them, you want to spend some time together. But what I like about dating women, the difference between dating women and men is that this is my very private opinion, and I don't think, like, I don't want to generalize it for like all the female relationships, but for me it is like women don't expect from me to be like predictable. Men do. They like something like they like to have this idea that they know us, they know me, who I am, they know what I like, and what I like today I will still like in 3 years from now or 5 years from now, and they will probably like give me the same kind of flowers, let's say, right, 5 years from now. This is more or less like very much generalizing, whilst with women, they understand that we as a women, we are in a constant change, like because we have a hormonal cycle and we are changing every day with our hormones, moods, you know, needs also. One day I want to go party and see many people and get to know new people. And the next day I want to stay at home and just be alone, like really just only with myself. And they wouldn't like say, but darling, yesterday you were in such a party mode. Yes, and today I'm not. So women get it much faster and adapt to it much faster. That even if I wanted something 1 week ago, I don't want it today. Even if I felt like this 2 days ago, I don't feel like that today. My mood has changed. My needs also, like I need something else today. Like the most important thing that I need today is not the same what I needed 1 week ago or 1 month ago. So this is the main difference for me in the relationship also, because it seems like they more follow this change and they are more open to it because they also experience it. So that's what I like about it.
And do you have a preference to dating women or men, just out of interest? Or
no, I don't think I have preference, actually. It was more like before I was living in Poland, and Poland is not very tolerant to LGBT relationships. And that's even like getting worse now. So I actually, like when it comes to my, I like to complicate my life anyway. So like complicating it on a level of, on a personal level would make my life a complete disaster. So I wasn't rather like going into it, although I had some relationships with women, but that was rather like short and nothing like so official that we would like present each other to our families. I really didn't want to have all this hassle with the social cultural issues. And now since 10 years I'm living in Spain, I was in a relationship with men, so I wasn't dating obviously anyone. But then afterwards, like here where I live, although I live in a small village, in a small town, it's only 8,000 people living in a town. They don't care who I'm dating. If I'm going out for dinner, they see me with a girl or with a boy, they are happy for me anyway. And this is lovely. Like I was on the concert, you know, the flamenco concert, and the singer proposed to his boyfriend on the stage, and everyone was crying, you know, from happiness. This is the place I'm living in. So at this moment, I don't need to think, you know, like whether this will be complicated or not, whether I will have to hide myself and so on. It's so open that that I'm just choosing a person, you know, and I wouldn't say I have preferences. It's just always like about human being. And I'm always saying I'm not attracted by genitalia, I'm attracted by brain, you know, sexy brain. So, and then the gender doesn't matter.
yeah. I used to find dating quite stressful in the beginning, because I always had this end expectation. I was in it to find a relationship. So I can relate to what you said, Nicole. It's about connection, and whether you just meet somebody for a coffee or do some painting or go for a walk, it doesn't have to be. And I think that's when it gets really stressful, isn't it? If you have that expectation, oh, I hope he calls again, I hope this ends up being a relationship, where now I just value that connection, being in the moment. Because otherwise we go out on dates and then it's like we're always looking at the next step and go, what's next, without actually enjoying the date you're in. So now it's less stressful for me and I'm having a lot of fun with it as well. Just whether it's one date or you see somebody for weeks or months, but just, you know, the fun times and lots of experiences to share.
I don't have Tinder, I must tell you.
Okay, yeah, so
I
just
was-
as a matter of interest, what sites do people use? I mean, I've been on Tinder, Plenty of Fish, I tried Bumble.
I don't have any, like, and I'm not on any platform for dating, like nothing, you know.
How do you meet them then?
Live. Okay, I will tell you what, like the thing that was like so stressful for me when my ex-partner broke up with me, my first thought was like, oh my God, now I have to go on this Tinder thing and like really suffer from all this like disappointment. I don't want it, you know, but like, how am I going to meet anybody, you know, in 8,000 people, small town? Well, it happened like very quickly that actually every time, and I'm not going too often to the bar, we have this like, it's a very touristic place, but winter is not like so crowded. But we have our places for local people, let's say, where the tourists are just rather not coming. And then I was just going there and meeting people, you know, like, but I just went once every 2 months, you know, and every time I went there, like I met somebody and then I was dating somebody for 1 month or 2 weeks or something. And I thought like after some months, I realized, well, I don't need any Tinder. It's okay like this, it's working. Because like actually, yeah, because I think, you know, especially that living in such a small place, I need people to spend time with me. I don't want to chat with them on the phone, you know, or speak on the phone or on Zoom. I want to go out with them. And what also happened was that suddenly I discovered how many of my friends are single, although they kind of like didn't even talk about it before. They made the impression of like dating someone or being busy. And I actually, once I got single, they suddenly started to invite me to all the parties, which like apparently the couples were not allowed to those parties. So I haven't had such a busy social life for a decade, you know.
You have really good friends. That's a good story. I mean, actually, me, when I was invited to this talk, I was thinking, I was busy, and so I didn't think too much about it. And then when I started thinking about it, I was like, actually, I have not been dated. I've always had a long-term relationship, except 1.5 years ago, I was single for kind of the first time in my life, like really single for a while. And it was just before the lockdown. And then after, and I was like, oh my God, how do we do that? Like, how is it working now? You know, how is this thing? Everybody was like, all my friends, go on this app. I was like, no. I'm natural. I'm not going on these apps. And one day I was like, okay, I give up. I'm gonna try. One day, and then I went out because I was feeling so unnatural. I was not feeling myself. And then finally I went on one app for 2 months. And I had this phase where I was talking with somebody that was really, really interesting. I thought we connected a lot. He never wanted to see me. Maybe this was after the lockdown. So we were having this restriction in Malaga. We couldn't go out of the city or something like that. And then actually I met my boyfriend on this app. But I was really finding it really, really hard, like so unnatural. And I was, you know, it was restrictive. We couldn't go to restaurant, everything was closed. So I was really stuck. And your story, Edita, is really inspiring. And it's good to have friends that take care of you like that.
Yeah, I think it's also like part of it is that okay, there is many like people who are living here who are not Spanish and who came here like many years ago, and we kind of they also like they have their own group or kind of like contact between themselves, but they don't really like mess up too much with the Spaniards, which I actually do a lot. But then those people who are, let's say, like on the margin of those groups, and they are there, but also outside, they are very like social people, and there is a lot of different communities or a lot of different places for yoga retreats. You know, many people are coming, a lot of people, like a lot of places for workawayers, woofing, and they are always curious, you know, they always need more. And of course, like the nice thing is that we have one of the most beautiful and amazing surfers beach just around the corner. So that also adds, like, if you feel lonely, just go there to Chiringuito, you know, and have fun. Go to the live concert, you know, speak to the people, and that will change at least your weekend. So this is quite like specific place to live in. That's why I'm here. Actually, that's why I'm not like I'm not moving to a bigger city, because I could move to Sevilla. It's 2 hours drive from my home, but I don't feel like living in the cities. I love it here, so close to the nature. And then I found out that even being single, I have everything I need here without the app.
Yeah, that's really good, isn't it? Because we think like these days we need to go on the app and things, but as you said, Nav, it's that highs and lows, isn't it, of going on the app, and people message, then they
okay, you know. So now, ladies, the app ladies, tell me your worst stories on the app, so if I ever join it, I will know what to avoid. Okay, give me the tips, please. How to date on the apps.
I don't know if this is actually so bad, but I was in a relationship for 6 years with someone that I went to like university with and lived like super close. And then when I came out of that, I was like, right, I need to make sure I have the necessary space. Like, I don't want to jump into something. I'm gonna make sure I completely connect with myself again, and then I'll feel better. And so I was like, I really had a hard time coming around to that thing of like using like apps. I was just like, this is so like, I've never done it before. You know, who do you trust? Like that whole thing starts coming in, especially like after watching like Catfish and stuff. And then and so then I went on to Bumble, and I was like, I'm going to put in like my filters. And then the very first recommendation was my ex. And I was just like,
oh no.
I was like, oh God. So that was like great. And then like all the pictures that he had were like ones where I'd obviously been like cut out.
No.
So that was that definitely for me. I was like, it's taken me so much to get to this place. And then now I was just like knocked back down. And then, you know, you start getting a bit like, wait, which way do I swipe? So I'm like, sure that it's like a no. So for ages I was just stuck. But like, you know, I think that just for the first time using a thing, I was like, really, out of all the people, you had to put like them, like put him back on there. So that was like one that was like, yeah, not so great.
I'm glad you can laugh about it now.
Yeah. Initially I was like, oh my God. But yeah, that was definitely an interesting one.
I have a bad story. I mean, I since I moved to Spain, I started using apps when I was like in my last year of college, I think, or my last year of like my master's. But I use it like punctually, like 2 times a year when like the urge is there and I'm like full of estrogen and I'm just like yeah, let's ready to flirt. And I remember one of them, like I've had a ton of bad dates, but this one was particularly interesting. It was this summer that this guy who was like really handsome in his photos, and I was like, yeah, he seems like super funny, let's go. And so I get ready to go see him, and he's like just got his motorcycle. He was gonna pick me up on his motorcycle, take me to a restaurant, and I get closer. I'm like, oh shit. He's like a meter shorter than I thought. He's like, you know that like weird like body shape of like plump and then like skinny, like a lollipop or something like that, with like these skinny jeans. His hair was long. He had like 2 double chins, and I'm like, you do not look like that. Like, you do not look like that. Like, you were a model, yeah, like 5 years ago when you took care of yourself. And so I'm like, shit. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe his personality is nice. And so I went on the motorcycle with him, and we go to a restaurant not too far away. And okay, he's a super independentista Catalan kind of guy. and he's very like black and white, very opinionated, like not my kind of guy. And so I was like in the date with him, and like just he was super weary about COVID and like not having the mask and things like that. And I was just trying to like get myself off the hook of like being like, oh, well, you know, I'm not vaccinated, so I can go if you want, kind of thing. And he's like, no. And so we sit down in the restaurant, and like I couldn't stand some of his remarks. And by that time I had like gained enough confidence in myself to be like sticking up for myself and talking, like defending my own self. But there was one thing, oh my God, he talked about my birds. He was like, don't you think it's cruel to have birds? And I'm like, excuse me, like, do you know anything about birds? Like, these birds are not for the wild. Like, if it weren't for me, like, they could be in a horrible cage somewhere. Like, I treat my birds like royalty. And so it was that question that I was like, you know what? I'm done. And I literally asked for the check in the middle of dinner. Like the food hadn't even arrived yet. And I like asked the server, I'm like, yeah, you can put it in a box. And like some of the food arrived already. And I'm like, I'm just eating because I'm hungry. And eventually he was like, yeah, well, you can take the leftovers. He was like, but es muy fuerte, no? Like leaving in the middle of the day. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't really want to waste my time here. So I was proud of myself to be able to like get up and leave. And then I tried to call this Brazilian guy as like a booty call, but he wasn't available. And I ended up getting into an argument with him and didn't talk to him anymore. So there's oodles and oodles of bad stories, but you learn something out of all of them. And in that one, I was like, I have the ability to leave in the middle of the day if I do not find his energy pleasing anymore. Yeah. So I did and blocked him.
I have a question for all of you, because you guys have been on dates more recent than I. Mine is like 27 years. So who pays now? Is it still like the guy pays?
Where are we? Are we in Spain or are we in the US?
In Canada. Oh, is it different? Okay, oh, yeah. So by country. So ladies, because you're all from all over, who pays for what nowadays?
I would say most of the time the guys pay. I always offer to pay, but they'll say, no, I've got this, don't worry. It's probably 80% of the time the guys will pay.
Okay.
In Spain, it's halvesies, unfortunately.
Is it because you're younger, so they don't have as much?
It's the culture. Like, I had a date a couple of months ago with an American in Spain. He paid for the 3-course meal, and I'm like, thank you so much. And like the guys in America, in the US, they will pay. I remember one time going back to the US after studying abroad in Spain, and I went out to dinner with this guy, and he paid for everything. And I'm like, thank you so much. He's like, yeah, sweetheart, welcome back to America.
Maybe it depends what you order. If it's they will pay.
I don't know. I must say, like, I've got the impression that, like, okay, they pay for me, right? It's like men, women, they like to pay for me, but I've got the impression it's more like because they actually say they consider me kind of like, I don't know, they say I'm queen, whatever that means. Oh. So then the queen needs to be treated in a very special way. And they always feel like it's okay, you know, they are happy to pay for me. And I'm always like, you know, I'm saying, okay, we share the bill, and they're like, no, I'm paying. And I'm like, okay, thank you. That's very kind of you. So I think in my case, this is just a question of some kind of attitude. I'm very feminine. I'm very, very feminine. The way I dress, the way I look, you know, my also, like, I'm very Slavic as well, like all this, you know, blonde hair, blue eyes, and so on. So this is also like, so non-typical. I don't look like Spanish, although I speak perfect Spanish. I would never look like Spanish. So I think they just like, they have some kind of like, I must have this kind of energy that they always like say, okay, I will invite this gorgeous lady, you know.
Are they also in their early 40s?
Different age. Let's say like between 35 to 60. I would say this is the people in this age that I'm dating.
Well, for me, they are paying even younger ages, but I just go for a drink. I don't want to commit to a meal if I don't like the person.
At least you can
Oh,
be,
yes,
right?
it's
If you
even
need
like,
to.
yeah, even what happens to me is that even if I go to the bar, like sometimes Saturday night, just for one drink to celebrate something, you know, that I accomplished this week, usually it happens that someone paid for my drink. I don't even know who is that. They don't even like need to talk to me because they feel like, you know, like I'm there, you know, with my happiness, with my lovely flowery dress, and like they can see like I'm not coming there to speak to someone, you know, to waste my time on like, you know, small talks or something. And I don't remember last time when it happened that I had to pay for my drink, actually. Even if I think even if no one pays for my drink, then the waiter says that was on me.
Oh,
Rather
Put it good.
manifesting.
Where do you live again? What city
Everyone's
do you live in?
moving.
yeah, we're all moving.
Okay, come over. I will teach you
We're having a
everything.
party
Don't
at your
worry, come
place.
over. You're all very welcome. I live in Vejer de la Frontera. All the Spaniards know this place because they love it, and this is like, you know, the paradise in Cadiz province at the Atlantic coast.
Yeah.
So how about you, Nav? I think you're like our baby in the group. Oh no, you just look young. I forgot that's what you said. Nicole is probably the baby in the group.
I'm 29, so
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know how that.
She's the baby.
Yeah.
She's the baby.
Yeah, you're the baby. So what is it like?
Yeah. So I think in terms of that, I have this thing where I don't. Do you ever get this? Like if someone pays, then you almost feel like you're in debt to them and you owe them. I don't know what it is. Like just sometimes I don't like that feeling. And I think dating again after coming out of something where you kind of get into that rhythm, that makes sense of knowing, you know, I've got this one, I've got this one, blah blah. I definitely like found it a little bit hard to adjust to that, but in my experience it is like the guy will be, you know, I've got this, like don't worry. And especially if it's like this thing of like, well, I asked you to come out, right? So it's like my shout. But then it's like if you're going on subsequent ones, I always like to be like, well, I've got the next one, like that's on me, and then just kind of like rotate it. I think it just keeps that whole thing equal. It doesn't leave any room for that feeling to arise where I'm just like, oh, so yeah, that's kind of how it goes over here.
That's interesting because I'm now thinking I never had to pay for anything like Adita, except my experience is like a zillion years ago. Mm-hmm. But I would feel very odd if I had to, like if I think I would, if I'm on a date and now I had to pay for myself.
Yeah.
Because I could have chosen out. Like I'm just being nice to go out with this person.
You're lucky to have me out.
You know, there was, I think, like some woman like many years ago. I know now what you're talking about, because when I was much younger, I also felt like, okay, I'm in debt, you know, like now I need to pay some favor back or something. And there was some, I don't remember, but like much older woman than me, and she said, darling, but it is a privilege to spend time with you. So for the good things in life, we have to pay. So they pay for privilege of your precious time, of your precious company. And that was for me like, ding, okay, get it.
Whoever that was, we need him.
So you guys apparently aren't dating younger men, or do you just find younger men that have money?
Ooh, Ren, that's a good question. I don't know what these ladies are doing. Dating younger guys?
Never.
Because they don't pay for dates.
Exactly.
Oh.
They don't have the money or the maturity.
Oh, but they have the body.
So do the 30-somethings. Younger men, oh, I can't stand them. I cannot stand them.
So let's talk about
because you're still young.
Yeah.
When you are like 40 or 35, you can date a bit younger, you know, there is not much difference.
What's the like
I find them boring. They have nothing to say. I mean, whatever they say, it's like it's boring, and body does not compensate that. And when it comes to the body, women have bodies. Yeah. You can't compare with the youngest man. This I can tell you. So like this will not convince me. Never.
Wow. So what's the youngest guy you guys have dated? Like difference in age group?
The youngest.
Mine's probably been 10 years younger. I'm 48, so probably late 30s. When I was in Sri Lanka, I lived in Sri Lanka for 2 years. And the men in Sri Lanka, they don't age well at all. So the ones the same age as me, they would just look a lot older. So there was a lot of young, really handsome men in Sri Lanka. So I did date younger men there. But here, back in Spain, it would probably be 40 would be the youngest, maybe early 40s. So maybe 5 years difference. I'd go 5 years younger.
I've never gone younger.
8 years younger. I'm 45 now, but when I dated him, I think he was 30 something and I was 40 something. And yeah, and just to go back to the payment thing, I ended up paying for him. And when he called me sugar mama, I think we met like mama. I was like, yeah, no, I don't think so. No.
What a killer sentence.
Sugar mama.
Killed it. But you know what? It opened the door for me, my now husband, who is 11 years older than me. He's got a killer body, or he had it before I made popcorn for him. And yeah, and we're in Canada. But yeah, like to go back to the money thing, like if I was dating when I was in India, I would pay for myself. I never wanted a guy to pay for me. It's kind of like Nav said, right? It's like that obligation. Then you feel like, oh my God, I have to put out. And I don't know. I've always been a woman who earns and spends my own money.
Do you think that's something that we've grown up with? Do you think just like with our culture that's kind of been embedded into us?
Yeah, maybe. My dad was very clear about, the 3 things that he wanted his daughter. And I'm Indian, right? So he was very clear that have your own money, because that means a certain amount of freedom.
Independence,
Yeah. So my mom is American, so I have a mixed background. So I don't know. They just inculcated just your own money and your own earning and your own self-worth. Don't expect someone else to give that to you. And I think that changes the dating game, because then you're not looking for someone to fill a void, but look for someone to complement you. And I think that's a big difference that women need to have as an outlook when searching for a mate,
Yeah, I'm one of 3 girls, and I think that like what our parents really tried to do was really be like, don't ever be looking at like a man to, like how you're saying, to have that, don't look for that support from a man. Always have freedom. If anything, even like they're really open about it, if anything ever happens, that you are in a position that you can walk away, right, like further down the line. So I think that's something that's been embedded from that young age, which is I've got myself. I don't need to. I think that was emphasized because we were 3 girls. My dad was like, I really just need to like make sure that I'm confident, right, in that you go out there and you don't get squashed like by anyone, that you kind of like hold your own. So I think that's an interesting probably similarity.
So that's really interesting coming from the 2 of you, because like you, I was raised to have your own money, be self-sufficient, don't depend on a man, except there was a mixed message, because when it comes to dating, then it had to be that the man should be paying because they have to treat you well and da 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 da. So I got mixed signals.
We have this thing in our culture as well, like, I don't know if Pranka, if you relate to this, so like this is even when you're younger, right, and this still goes on now. So like, say for example, so like my sisters, they both had babies like during lockdown, and so like hardly anyone's like come over to see them, so they're now coming in like dribs and drabs, and we have this thing, right, which is kind of like called like sug-in. So it's like we give money, so people come over when they come to give this money. So it literally happened yesterday. So I've got twin nephews, right, and they're staying with us at the minute. And so these guests came over and they gave like £200, and it becomes this whole thing where the parents are always like, don't take it, don't take it, don't take it. And then we're in the middle and we're like, we don't know what to do, because you don't want to be ungrateful. So you're looking at them, you're just like, thank you. Then you have your parents, and this happens in so many different situations. There's this thing with like money, and then it's like, it becomes like this thing where then they will try and give it back in a certain way. And I think that flows into probably all the different like segments, I think, of our lives, and probably shapes the way we think about it as well.
But I I agree with you. I think there's also like this thing with the money. It's also very much cultural, because I just now thought like dating now in Poland would probably mean everyone pays for themselves. But there is a story that actually happened to me that must be like 15 years ago, before I left Poland. I was at the club dancing with my friends, and then some other like ladies came to me and they said their friend, he wants to meet me so badly, you know. So like there was already like straight away from the beginning, this guy wanted to meet me badly. Okay, and then he asked me for a date for next day. So we met the next day, and we were just like having a drink before dinner. And he said, "So what are you doing?" I said, "I'm a writer." And he was like, "Oh no, oh my God, so you're so poor, I will have to pay for everything." And I was like, "Oh mate, yeah, thanks. You know what? I'm going."
Yeah.
He said that. He really said that.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
So it
Yeah,
sounds
that was
like,
unbelievable, especially that, okay, I'm a writer, but always have like another projects and job and earning my own money, like since I left home when I was 19. So like, I knew where is this coming from, but like saying this and being like so brainless and so rude was like unbelievable, you know.
yeah, I'm trying to think of the worst thing a guy has ever said to me. And I don't know if it was the era, but I really can't think of anything where somebody would say something like that, because I would just slap him at that point and walk away. And I'm not a violent person.
Yeah, I can say I have a bad experience of my short time of dating, which was really short, but I don't know if it happens to anybody. I'm still shocked about it. It was like 2 years ago, so I was 36. And so as I was saying before, I had never been single, you know, I was the same as Edith. I was living my life, going to parties and turning around and meeting a guy who, and then long-term relationship. And then 2 years later, oh no, it's not working. And then changing again, it was easy until I realized, oh my God, maybe I'm not thinking well enough what I want in life, you know, in a man and in a relationship. So I need to think more. So I need to take time for myself and being single. So I was single, I was 36, and every guy who were asking me for a coffee, just a coffee, I was just sitting, and the first question was like, do you want to have kids? Because if you want to have kids, we can't have a coffee. And I was like, what is that? I felt like attacked, like non-stop. And I was thinking, well, maybe it was happening so much. I was thinking maybe it's because of my age, because I've never been asked this ever in my life before. And it was kind of like an obstacle, like every time they were asking me. And so I didn't enjoy that. And it made me really think about like, if I wanted kids, there's something I never thought about before, you know. I was like, it's gonna come, if it's coming, it's not coming, it's not coming, you know. And yes, I remember something that was a kind of, how do you say, that was really not nice that somebody told me. It was, so a guy that was really cute, actually, was 43, he was really good looking. And he told me, so we dated a bit until he said that. He said, you know, actually for your age, you look really young, because normally I just date women who are 10 years younger than me.
What did you say back?
I don't know. I said, fuck off.
Oh, God. They don't think what they speak sometimes. Yeah. Oh my God.
Something else super horrible. I don't know if we want to get onto this thing of keep on saying all the horrible things that men have been telling us, but I have been told, I don't know how many times in my life, that, you know, you would be so much more beautiful if you just like lost a little weight and like tightened up a little bit. Like you have a beautiful face, but if you just, you know, slim down a little bit, you could have a beautiful body. And I've had men who have like, that was the first time I was like in college with just like a guy friend who was telling me this, and like, yeah, okay, like I could see myself like a little bit chunkier, than I am now and stuff like that. But you don't gotta say that. Like, no, don't say that kind of no.
It's narrow-mindedness. Yeah, they're just looking at the wrong stuff. Oh my God.
No,
yeah. So
men
I
should
think
never
for
say
me,
that
worse
at
than
all.
age is that, like, oh, you'd be great, just a little bit skinnier, just a little bit lighter.
Wow.
Oh, that's a no. That is definitely a no.
Hard no. Yeah.
Can I tell you guys? Can I tell you guys? To change topic into something a little bit more fun, if I may. Something that I started to do since pandemic is when I'm online dating, I almost always require a FaceTime call meeting before meeting them in person. I'll be like, I'm a very busy entrepreneur woman. Like, I need to know if there's going to be a connection. Like, if there's a connection over phone, there's going to be a connection during coffee or something like that. And it's really, if you have the ovaries to do it, just randomly like FaceTime and be like, hey, just wanted to pop on and say hi, make sure you are real, and, you know, make sure you're not catfishing me, like, jokingly, but kind of seriously. Have you guys ever done that? I saw Adita like shaking her head.
Yeah, no, I always do that actually, because you can have a connection with a guy from messaging them. And then once you get a call and talk to them on the phone, they can be, you can see from there, you see them, hear them, talk to them, the conversation, you get that vibe from the conversation. So yeah, I always do that now before I go to the effort of getting dressed up to meet somebody. Definitely.
That's such a good idea and very time efficient. Well done.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That's
You
how
haven't
to
got
treat
time to
yourself like
mess
a queen.
around.
So
Ren
Ren,
said, speaking of coffee, my hot water is ready and I must brew some.
Enjoy.
so
Awesome. Thank you guys.
what is your, I guess, favorite part of dating?
Having lots of fun. Meeting lots of interesting guys, lots of connections, different kinds of dates.
Free food when they do pay.
Is it exhausting though? Like, you know, the getting dressed up and.
Who said you got to get dressed up?
That's what I was gonna say.
Since using my Ringana product, Celine, and my face cleared up so beautifully, like I went on a date during my last like dating scheme like a couple of months ago with zero makeup on. Do you know how liberating that was? I was like busy working and I'm like, okay, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And I'm like, I was basically in sweats and with like no makeup. I was like, who cares? If you want to be free.
This is you. But I guess that works for like a coffee thing. But if you know you're going to like a nice restaurant, or do people still take people to nice restaurants?
Yes, but I mean, you know what, since I live here, like it's so hot here that wearing makeup makes no sense at all. So I was using very few and I'm not using anything. So I actually like, I need to really think a lot about this question because I just don't. So like, I wouldn't even do it when I go on the date. I barely like accepted to put the makeup when I have a photo session, right? So this is the only situation that I say, all right, okay, I'll do it, right? But then like, I mean, for me, wearing makeup is strange because what I want is this person for, like to wake up with me in the same bed. I'm not wearing makeup in the morning. So I don't want them to be like so surprised seeing another me. It's not another me. This is real me. So why would I show them another me, like full of makeup, you know? I like to do it sometimes, putting like some colors, you know, eyeshadows or the lipstick, but I do it only for me. I don't do it for dates. So.
But do you buy
it's nice just to wear a little bit of bronzer or a bit of mascara or something. I don't wear a lot of makeup, but sometimes if I'm going out, I'll just wear a little bit.
Yeah, because even if we go like with my husband to a party, I don't wear it. I just don't.
No, me neither.
It takes way too much effort. So does anyone buy new clothes?
No.
No.
Ooh.
Celine, you are definitely dating in another era, my love.
I think it's about being yourself,
for
isn't
that.
I think that's also important.
And
When someone sees
there's also this thing they say in Poland, like the partner or somebody you're dating or somebody you're with shouldn't buy you shoes because you will walk away from them in those shoes.
I think I've heard that before.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What about slippers? Will they walk into your bedroom if you buy them slippers?
Yeah.
That's a nice trail.
That's hilarious. So Julie, in France, was there any special cultural thing that's different from what you heard today?
Oh, I'm
Like
a really
the
bad
same
example.
thing,
It's
or-
14 years I don't live in France. I can't remember anything. I just know that it's 14 years I'm dating Spanish men everywhere in the world. When I was traveling, I was always ending up with a Spanish guy. I have no clue.
And that's how you ended up in Spain.
Yeah, that's why. But now I ended up with an Argentinian. It's not exactly Spanish. But
careful with those.
I sense another story there.
The Argentinian pilot who made me give up dancing in order to be with him. That was a lesson that all dancers must go through and live through when you're deeply in love, but your partner doesn't like your dancing because they're way too jealous. Yeah, that was a doozy, but learned a lot from that one.
Oh, yeah, and I forgot all about jealousy. How does that work nowadays? Like first date, you already know they're jealous types?
Oh, I literally, after that relationship, I asked them straight up, so are you the jealous type? Because I dance things that are very sensual. So if that's going to be an issue.
Are they honest though? Because it takes a lot.
Some of them are, Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They'll say straight up, like, yeah, if I'm with someone, I don't like that, or no, I'm not the jealous type. I don't really care. Everyone can do their own thing. What I would love to ask you guys is about polyamory. Has anyone tried polyamory?
What is that?
Oh, Celine. Polyamory. Okay, there's an open relationship where like you have your partner and you guys are free to have sexual relations with other people, and then like polyamory is when you may have that partner, but you are allowed and free to have relationships and fall in love with other people at the same time. So you're not restricting each other and the typical sense of a relationship in society these days.
You could be married and you could have like a boyfriend.
Exactly.
Celine's like, what?
Yeah, that's like that TV show. I don't remember what is brother wives.
Sister?
I think it's Sister Wives, where there's like one guy and he has like 10 women.
Were those Mormons?
I'm not sure. Can't be any religion, but whatever. Is that the kind of thing you want? Or not living in the same household? That would just be.
I mean, I think polyamory can be defined in whatever sense you want it to, that makes sense for you and your current partner or partners. But ever since I moved back to Barcelona, I have met a lot of polyamorous people. And so like, since like about a year ago, like my mind has been like searching for polyamory like resources and information, and like sometimes when I get new ideas, I like to try it on to myself and picture myself in that reality to see if it would work well. Recently, there was a guy in the US that I was like in love with, and a guy here that I was dating. And so I was kind of getting a taste of the polyamory kind of world, because it's like, why can't I just have both of them? Like, I love.
Is that so conflicting though? Like, is one ever stronger than the other? Are you same with both of them? Like,
Yeah, I mean, the whole situation was difficult because the guy in the US is in the US. Like when I go there in September, I'll get to see him for the first time in like 8 years. But then there's a guy here, and then we don't know where that was gonna go. Where September, yeah. So it was a lot of conflicting things, and I ended up deciding I don't want either of them. So now I have a lot of freedom, and I feel so much better. But I was curious if anyone else had had any other kind of experiences with polyamory or open relationships that they could
I must say, like, I have this tendency to date few people at the same time, but I'm dating them for fun, not because of like being
yeah, I do
involved
that
with them.
too, but polyamory is like
That's a different thing. Yeah, like loving two
Oh.
people at the same time, or being emotionally involved with two people or more at the same time.
So
Wow,
I've heard
that's
about it
inspiring.
since the last 2-3 years, but I've heard also that there are courses about that because it's destroying a lot of relationships when you don't know how to do it, because that's how you discover, you know, you think you are fine about, you know, sharing your partner, you know, having an open relationship or polyamorous. And then when you finally do it, you realize that you are not fine with it. And I've seen actually nearby relationships next to, like nearby me, ending because of that.
Yeah.
Well, this seems to be another hot topic, ladies.
Yeah.
We'll have to set this up for another Pajama and Pearls episode.
Sure.
All right. Well, some of us, it's time to go to sleep.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks everyone. It's been really interesting just to share experiences, isn't it?
And the stories have been, yeah, great.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, so for everybody else who is going to be watching this lovely video, feel free to reach out, and we're definitely going to have more chats in the future. Hot topic is polyamory. Was that correct? I am now going to look that up. All right. Bye, ladies.
Okay,
Bye.
thanks everyone. Good night.
Ciao.
See you soon.